Hello, my name is Tinne from VectoriaDesigns, and if you're in the mood for a crafty Halloween kit that's not super Halloweeny per se, I have the perfect kit for you, the Haunted House Crafting Printables kit. I know that Haunted House sounds very Halloweeny, but most of the printables you can use all year round. That is, if you like old mysterious designs. With these printables I made a tutorial for you for a journal with a hidden spine and also a sturdy pocket to keep the Haunted Secrets booklet freebie from a few weeks ago. This freebie matches the kit perfectly. If you're now like, freebie, did I miss anything? What freebie? There's a link in the description, you can still go to that video and download it. You can also make only the pocket if you don't feel like making the whole journal. And as always, you can use many other papers to make the tutorials in this video, and you can also use the printables of this kit to make many other crafts. This is just one idea. In this video, I will explain completely how to make the whole project. For a flip through and a showing of some of the printables of this kit, there's another video, the link is below. And if you would like to make this project with the printables of our Haunted House kit, you can discover this kit in our Etsy shop, there's a link below as well. And now let's start crafting. The first thing you have to do is print out your journal pages, because with every crafter they will probably print out a little bit different in size. For example, some print borderless, some don't. I use A4 paper, which means the sheets will be a little bit smaller and the margins from printer to printer change a little bit, etc, etc, etc. So it's best that you print out your journal pages first. So the height is very easy. Measure the height and add 1/4 inch or 6 millimeters. Of course, you can use 5 millimeters as well, but I just want to be precise. Now for the width, measure the half of your journal page, so 1 page, and then I'm gonna add 1/4 inch as well. Sometimes with some types of binding, it's better to have your covers a little bit wider, because the type of binding and spine make that your signatures get pushed to the outside a little bit, and sometimes the covers are too short. But in this case, with this tutorial, the signatures will be a little bit more inwards, so more towards the spine. So adding 1/4 inch is actually more than enough. And in the case of my printables, my height is 8 inch, so that becomes 8 1/4 inch. And the width of one page is 5 1/8, so that becomes 5 3/8 of an inch. And I'm going to make 2 covers with those sizes. Put your measurements on a little piece of paper if you like, as a reference for the rest of the tutorial. And now, for the covers, normally I use medium weight chipboard, but in this tutorial I just want to show you that you can definitely just simply use boxes from your pantry and upcycle them. So I have here these toast boxes. These are actually rather flimsy. This is not very sturdy chipboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the fronts and the backs of each of these 2 boxes. So I have 4 panels, and I'm going to cut them to size for my covers. And I'm going to just glue them back to back to make sturdy cover. And no one will know that there are pantry boxes inside this beautiful future journal. I cut out 4 of the pieces from the boxes in the size of the cover pieces, and I'm going to glue them 2 by 2 to make them more sturdy, because they're really flimsy. And I'm going to glue them together and the pictures on the inside, so the pictures won't show through the paper. And I'm simply going to do that with some tacky glue. There. Would it be simpler to just cut from my stack of lightweight chipboard? Yes, definitely. But I just wanted to show you that this is an option as well, that you can definitely do that and upcycle some of your paper or boxes. There. You don't have to go completely to the edge. It will spread out evenly when I push these together. And I will wrap these up as well, which means it's okay. There. And let this dry. If your tacky glue has a little bit more water in it than this one, it might start to crumble. Well, very easy. Just lay it flat, put the book on it and let it dry. I'm gonna do exactly the same with this one. So these are dry, so it's time to start wrapping them. And I chose these 2 papers. This one's going to be the front cover. This one's going to be the back cover. And what I'm gonna do is simply, I'm gonna take one of these covers. I'm gonna place it where I want my cover to be. Could have even printed it a little bit smaller, I see. Yeah. And then I'm going to fold the paper against this cardboard. Just in one corner is enough. And now when I turn it around, I see a fold here, a fold here. And now I know that I can put my chipboard pieces right here and it is placed perfectly. Gonna do exactly the same with the back cover. Now for the back cover, yeah, I printed it too large. I definitely could have printed it smaller as well. I'm gonna put it here, I think. Yeah, make sure you have like 1/2 inch, centimeter at least left on the sides to wrap it around. There. I know where these should come. And now to glue these two on there, I'm going to use double-sided tape and glue stick. So I'm going to put some double-sided tape. Let me put this in the center so you can see that very well. I'm going to put some double-sided tape on the edges, right next to the edges, because this way I'm sure that the edges will be down pretty good and there's not going to be any air, etc. I like clean edges. Crafters who have followed me for a while know that I like clean edges. There it is. So just some double-sided tape on all 4 of the edges. There. And then I'm going to remove this. And then some glue stick in the center. You can also use strong glue stick all over or tacky glue all over. It's just what you prefer. But this way my fingers won't get too gluey. There. So, and now I know that I have to line up my piece right here. Be as straight as you can, because otherwise if your design is going to be a bit crooked, that's not fun. It is already a bit crooked for me. But that's okay, it's not much. Okay, so when this is down, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm gonna cut about 1/2 inch, a big centimeter all around. We don't need the rest of that paper. And you see, I am not being perfect at all here. If you see my tutorials from a few years ago, that might have been a lot different. I've changed. So now I'm going to fold these all around for a neat fold. Just push it against the edge. Before I'm going to glue these down, I'm going to cut the corners. And I want them to overlap a little bit here so that you don't see any bare cardboard. So I'm going to cut like this, not too much in this angle, more like this angle. I will leave 1 millimeter or 1/6 of an inch from the corner so it can be covered a little bit. And then I'm going to turn so that my angle changes. I'm not going to cut like this, but like this. And that is when I will fold these over each other, the cardboard will be hidden, because 1/8 of an inch on each side, a few millimeters, you will still see. So I want this to be pretty neat. And I'm gonna do that in all 4 corners. You see, I didn't glue them on top of each other perfectly. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. There. And then you can use glue to put these down, but I'm just going to use my tape again. And I'm going to put the glue next to the fold rather than to the edge. It's okay, these edges are okay, but it's better to put your tape or glue as much as you can next to the fold. Or even in the fold. Doesn't matter at all here. As close to the cardboard as possible. There. And then I'm gonna start with the short sides. This. I'm gonna add a little bit of glue in this corner because I didn't have tape there. And just pull it against the cardboard. Just really pull physically and bring this. I'm gonna need my bone folder here. There. Bone folder is optional, but you can smooth things out so good. It's definitely worth the investment if you do this a lot. So again, so now I'm doing the opposite side here. This. And now the long sides. There we go. And the last one. Okay, so, and I'm going to do exactly the same with this one and this paper. So I have my two covers ready, my front cover, my back cover. It's okay if there's a little bit of white here, you won't see it. You just have to make sure that there's a few millimeters, about 3 or 1/8 of an inch around that is not white. Otherwise you have to cover it up with ink. So these I'm going to put aside for a while. And a tip, if they're a little bit curvy because of the glue, etc. that you use, just put them aside, put the book on top, and everything will be flat by the time you will need them. And the next thing I'm going to do is make my outer spine. And for that I have this very, very sturdy cardstock. This is 300 grams cardstock. I think that's about 110-pound cover. So really, really sturdy cardstock. You can use any color that you like. You can use scrapbook paper that's very, very sturdy, that has a beautiful pattern on there that might fit this kit. But I'm just going to use plain brown cardstock. And cut a piece that is the same height as the height of your cover pieces. So for me that's going to be 8¼ of an inch. And the width should be 4½ inch. Of course, side note, if you have a great insight into how the measurements of journals work, you can alter all these measurements to your liking. If you want your spine to be wider, etc, etc, etc. So I'm going to cut that piece out. So here's my piece, and I'm going to score a few lines here. If you don't have a scoreboard, you can use a mat, a ruler and an embossing pen, or just an empty pen. Measure where your score lines should be, and you can make them that way. But this is just a lot easier and faster. So I'm going to score at 1¼ inch. And 1½ inch. I'm gonna go over that again because the cardstock is really, really, really sturdy. Gonna turn it around and do the same exact sizes. So 1¼ Don't push too hard. And now I'm going to fold. So the inner folds, I'm going to go like these. With inner, I mean the ones that are most on the inside. So I'm gonna fold them up. And outer folds, I'm actually going to go out. Well, if it's easier, just open up again. Yeah, that's a lot easier. Like this. Like this. There. So I have my folds right here. I'm going to give this a color, and the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to put a piece of scrap paper underneath, and I'm going to ink it. And I have this moss green color, it's called Forest Moss, and I'm just going to color the outside of my spine here. And I'm gonna go as far as a little over these side pieces. These large pieces you won't see, so there's no point in wasting ink on that. But I find when I use ink on this craft paper, it gets a little bit cloudy and it gets some kind of a texture, and I really, really like that. Of course, you can use cardstock that has already the color that you like. Obviously, but I didn't. So I'm just simply blending this in, and it gets like this cloudy, almost kind of leathery. Maybe I'm pushing it here, but nice texture. I really, really love it. I'm also going to ink the top and the bottom on the inside. So the edge here. Okay, so I am also going to ink these top and bottom edges on the outside as well, like these. So to recap, top and bottom on that side, top and bottom on the inside, and give it a color. And to make this whole spine thingy more sturdy, I'm going to add one layer of Mod Podge, just the regular kind. Like this. I'm gonna go over this piece as well, and this will make the folds a little bit sturdier as well. I'm trying to make long streaks because the texture of these streaks will probably be visible. I think if you use a brush, maybe the brush strokes will be less. I'm not sure. Oh, pieces of my sponge are coming off. Don't leave them on there. So yeah, this is more than enough. I think this is more than enough. And I'm gonna let this dry. It's important that you already folded these fold lines before you do this, because if you have to start folding with the Mod Podge, it's gonna crack or crease or not be nice. Okay, I quickly put my hairdryer on this for a super speedy dry, and I'm going to, it's still a little bit tacky, but I'm gonna take my chances. Should have waited a little bit longer, but yeah. Sometimes patience in me is not working. There. And I'm going to also add a little bit of Mod Podge. I'm going to carefully let this down on the inside. Also to make it a little bit more sturdy. This is optional because maybe with your glue this won't stick anymore or not as well to the sides later. It's maybe better that you don't do this. You can also substitute this with adding a piece of fabric on the inside to strengthen this whole spine. This is just the way that I use it, and with Aleene's tacky glue, you can glue anything. Okay, on the other side, I'm gonna touch this up a little bit. There, and I'm gonna put my hairdryer on this again. If I was a craft teacher, I would say, let the first side dry completely before Mod Podging the other side. Well, so it's almost dry, but I'm gonna let it air dry a little bit better. Just getting these folds back in a little bit. Like this. Of course, Mod Podge sturdies this spine a little bit. But if you want to make sure that it's very sturdy or your cardstock isn't that thick, I would add a piece of fabric, glue it on the inside, a piece that covers like this part. It should certainly cover these folds. And also I would put then an extra piece of cardstock in the center as well, only in the center, just to make the whole thing a bit sturdier. But I think this is gonna be fine as it is, like this. My outer spine is ready and dry, and I'm going to attach the covers. So I'm going to attach them like this, front and the back. Before I'm going to do that, I'm gonna draw a line to where this piece comes on the back. So I'm just gonna line this up here in that crease, just against the fold. And then just quickly draw a line, just to know to where I should put my glue. And then the back, come here. That's enough for me. And now I'm going to use tape to fill the space between the edge and this line that I just drew. So here and here. I'm also going to add some glue to the spine piece itself because I really want it to stick. You can use glue only as well, but I just want to be really sure that it sticks. By the way, there's also wider double-sided tape, of course. Here. So I'm going to put a piece of tape against that line that I just drew, one against the edge and one in the center. Gonna take that off. Oh, and I forgot one thing. It's good that this will stick for a long time until I use it, because I forgot to ink the edges and I really want to do that. I'm gonna ink all 4 edges, and oh yeah, for the whole journal I'm going to use this Forest Moss, that's the name, Forest Moss ink. I think black would work as well because of the black flowers in the designs. And I'm gonna do that with the other part as well. And also I'm gonna do that on the inside, because you will still see a little bit of the inside on the edge. At least these 3 sides. And now I'm also going to use some tacky glue from the side until almost against this fold. I'm gonna do side by side, not 2 sides at once. I mean side per side, that's what I meant. This, yeah, the glue will spread out a little bit later. Okay. This is the back, that's right, and this, okay, yeah. Just confirming that I'm doing it right. And then I'm going to glue this on a line, top and bottom, and next to the fold, not on the fold, because this still needs to be able to move. I'm gonna hold it for a bit, and then I'm gonna place some books on top. I'm gonna place the book again against the fold. Actually, I'm gonna put it here so I have more working room for the other side, because I'm not gonna wait until this is dry. I already put some tape on the back. again some strong glue. You can use Fabri-Tac for sure. There. Line up next to the fold. Hold it for a bit. And then the next book. Very important that this dries completely because this structure has to hold the whole book. For those who are interested, this is Lord of the Rings, this is Harry Potter. What else do you need? While that cover is drying, I'm already going to start with the inner spine. And remember that sturdy cardstock, I cut another piece that is again the height of the cover. So for me that's 8 1/4 by 4 1/4 this time. And this time I'm going to score again at 1 1/4. But instead of 1 1/2 this time I'm going to go 1/8 further, 1 3/8. The other side the same, 1 1/4, then 1/8 further, 1 3/8. I'm going to fold the same way, so the inner ones, yeah, I'm using my thumb, the nails of my thumb here now, so it creases at the right place. It's a little bit harder because this is such sturdy cardstock. So flipping the inner folds up, and then the other ones are going to go the other way like this. And then you will have this U shape. You see, the other one was a U shape as well, but this is a little bit less deep. With the outer spine, this part was visible, so the part that was bulking up, that part. And on the inside, this part will be visible, the part that is like a valley right now. So I'm gonna lay it like here, and this time again I'm going to ink it up to about here, about 1/4 inch away from the last fold. Just to give it some color. Again, this is optional. You can use colored cardstock instead, or sturdy, pretty scrapbook paper. The upside of this is you can use any color of ink to match your cardstock for wherever you need it with the rest of your craft project. So that's why I like it. I'm also going to ink the top and the bottom again, because these parts will be visible. And just to be safe, also the back side. I don't think it's really necessary, but hey. Okay. Again, you can Mod Podge over this if you like. And I'm not going to do that this time because it is sturdy cardboard already. It really is the outer spine that needs to be the most durable. But you can definitely add a layer of Mod Podge here again. And now I'm going to mark where the holes should come to sew in the signatures. Yes, I know, it's a bit tedious, like, do you really have to measure? I don't want to measure. It's not the most fun job here, but it will make sure that I have a really wonderful experience actually, and it will look good. So that's why it's necessary. Okay, I'm gonna turn this around so I can make my marks on the back. So I'm going to start and measure 1 1/4 inch from the top and the bottom. This about, you can change it of course. I'm gonna draw a whole line here, short, straight. There. And I'm going to also have a hole in the center, so that's here. If you're not sure if you're straight, take a like something, line it up with the side, something with a straight angle, I mean, there. It's a little bit off. There, that's better. How can I still be off? Come on. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, now you're gonna make a choice. Are you going to add 5 signatures in here? Yes, that's a lot. Or are you going to do like me and add 3 signatures, and then there will be room enough to add a pocket? It's more like a box almost that holds the freebie that I sent out before. I am going to show you how. If you're gonna add 5 signatures, just add a mark every 1/4 of an inch. 5. But I am only going to use these ones. These 3. So I'm gonna cross these out. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to add 3 signatures on the back of the book because I want the envelope or the pocket in the front. So when the journal lies flat, I can actually write on the papers, otherwise that box will always be in the back. So I made some marks, and here is where I'm going to cut my holes. And I'm simply going to use my little awl. They're not big holes, so a small hole is already enough. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like this. So if I flip it around, here will be space enough for a pocket that will hold that freebie. Fabulous freebie, by the way. If you don't have it yet, download it, make it, add it. And here will be my 3 signatures. So I have 3 signatures. Let me make them now. I'm gonna put this aside. I have my journal pages here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sheets with journal pages. In each signature I will put 2 and some other papers I will show you in a minute, but first I'm going to cut these out. Here are my journal pages, and I'm going to add these sketchbook papers. This is some ivory colored sketchbook paper in the same size, and I'm just going to take 2 of these journal pages, 2 of these and 6 of these, and I'm gonna make piles. For the beauty, you can use all the journal pages in the kit as well if you like. You can also add other things, but what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add 1 of these, 2 of these, 1 of these, 2 of these. And I'm gonna do that 3 times. I said it wrong. I mean not 2 of those beige papers in between, but 3. And underneath also 3. So there's 8 sheets in total. Like this. And now what I'm gonna do is fold them in half, all of them. Now, an optional if you want the edges to be completely straight, because if you make a signature, this will go into a point. If you make it straight, just put it under your guillotine trimmer if you have one, or use a heavy-duty craft knife with a ruler to gently remove that piece. But this is completely optional. You really don't have to do that. I'm gonna quickly do that. And now I'm going to use this exact inner spine to punch the holes in here. I could use my ruler again, but when you punch holes, sometimes they're a little bit off, and I'd rather use these than use my ruler again. So what I'm going to do is, you can use clips. My clips are all the way over there and I don't want to get them, but if you use clips, you can clip these together so they won't move. It's a little bit safer than what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna open this. Actually, I'm going to punch my holes inside out. I'm going to line this up, and you'll see the journal pages are a little bit smaller than the inner spine, but I'm going to line up my ruler now to punch the holes. So I'm lining up my ruler with these holes here, and where the ruler intersects with the fold, you can punch your hole. I think that's the easiest way. I think that's even easier than simply measuring. And I'm gonna do that for all 3 signatures. So make sure the top sticks out as far as the bottom. So, and then just an idea, if you don't like these ugly holes in the center, just flip this inner page around and you will see only beautiful holes in the center. This is just a little tip. It might change where the holes is, so you might have to dig for the right hole, but it's a little bit prettier. I'm just gonna fold it to the other way. There. With this one as well. And for stitching these, I'm just going to do the easiest 3-hole pamphlet stitch, like I've done a million times in my tutorials. Don't worry, I'm going to show everything. If you already know what to do, you can skip ahead. And I'm just going to use embroidery thread. I use that often because I can choose how many threads I'm going to use. This one has 6 threads, and I'm just going to choose, take 3 to sew. But first I want the length, double, and then extra. I'm gonna keep it easy. An extra one. And I'm going to split these threads because now I have 3 in each. Just unwind it and let it unwind. Good instructions, Tina. Unwind it and let it unwind, but just unwind actively one side and then passively the other side. And this way you can divide the threads. There, that's 1 thread, signature 2. Also this one, and the rest that I'm not using I will keep for a next journal. So I have my 3 threads. You can also use waxed cord. It's just, this is nice and thin, not too thick, and yet sturdy. So I'm gonna use 1 cord, and then I'm gonna take my inner spine. Listen to me, folks, because this has happened to me so many times that I did it wrong. Even though I was so sure that I knew what I was doing, I was not. Okay, put this aside. Make sure that you have it like this, the holes on that side, and this one should be facing the right way, not upside down. Okay, and I'm gonna go from the back to forth because this will be hidden, so it's a really good idea to have the knot here. And I'm gonna start with the last one. Just when that's good, I know that I'm doing a great job. So I'm gonna go in the last one in the middle hole from back to front with my needle. There. Oh yeah, you can use a binder clip for this or a paper clip. I'm just going to use this. These are sewing clips, and I'm just going to attach that tail with the clip to the paper so it doesn't go anywhere. I don't have to keep it in check with the rest of my fingers. Normally I do that, but this is actually a lot easier. Okay, make sure it's facing the right side again. This is facing the right side. Back to forth through the middle hole, and then also through the middle hole in your first signature, or better, the last signature, because this is gonna go on the end. All the way through, and then choose either the top or the bottom hole and just go back out. Yeah, I have to fish a little bit because I changed this paper, that's the downside. There. Gonna go back out, and I'm also gonna go back out the last row in this inner spine. There. Last row also top one. There I go. And I can pull because this clip is keeping my thread in place. But as I said, you can also use a binder clip or a paper clip or your fingers. And then I'm gonna go all the way to the other side. There are multiple ways to do this, but I'm gonna keep it really easy. All the way to the other side to the bottom hole. And also through that bottom hole here. And come back in. Make sure everything is stretched here. No loops. And then just go back out through the middle hole again, all the way to the back. There's a little bit of fishing involved here as well, but hey, here we go. Like this. And I also made sure, yeah, let's first stretch this before I start talking. Okay, stretch it, loosen that tail, and then make sure that first everything is nice and straight, no loops, and that you have an end on either side of that middle thread. And now you can make a double, triple knot, whatever you like. Don't make it too tight, but it should be fairly tight. It's just your paper shouldn't bend because the thread is so tight. And if you have enough knots, just snip them off. This will be hidden away later. And then you have one signature already in your inner spine. Use your bone folder to fold it all the way to the other side, and that side just train the paper a little bit to move. Okay, and when that's done, you can add the second signature. And then the third in exactly the same way, but in the second and the third row. So I have my 3 signatures sewn in here. The packet looks like this, neatly in a row. They're all facing the right side, and I am very happy. Now I want to add a bookmark here, and for that I have a ribbon right here, and I also added this on bottom of the ribbon. I did that with a ribbon clamp, and I added a few beads and spacers here. I'm not going to show you in this tutorial how to add this bead with all the spacers, etc. to this ribbon, but if you like, please let me know in the comments, and maybe I will make a tutorial just specifically for that as well, how to make these dangles. I have a past in jewelry making. There are already a lot of tutorials out there, so I don't know if I can add something to it, but if you like, just let me know and I will think about it. So you can also use a regular ribbon, and I think it should be longer because I have a bead. That's why it should be longer than the book itself, because otherwise the bead is going to damage the papers. If you just have the ribbon without a bead on the bottom or without any charm on the bottom, you can have it shorter as well, but I want it longer, and I'm going to put it, I don't know, I do know. I do know. It's not I don't know. I'm gonna put it here, shiny side up. I'm going to put it between signatures 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna put it almost in the middle because I can really get in there. And then I'm going to glue it here. So gonna cut this off. And I'm gonna add some double-sided tape right here. Yeah, maybe it's a bit too wide because the double-sided tape is also going to cause the inner spine to stick to the outer spine. Maybe this wasn't a good idea, but I think my ribbon is almost covering the whole, yeah, the whole tape. Okay, in hindsight, I should have better used thinner tape. This is, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch. I should have used 1/4 of an inch. But actually it's almost not sticky. But it's just, if I were you, if I would do this again, I would definitely make sure that I use thinner tape. Or glue, that's actually even better than tape. We better do this before we put this inside the book, because otherwise we can't reach that anymore. And now the next step would be to put this inside the cover. So I'm gonna see if it's completely dry and add some things to it before I glue this in. Okay, my cover has been drying, and before I'm going to add in the inner spine with all the signatures, I'm going to embellish it a bit more, because now I can reach everything, later maybe not. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna add this thingy right here, very handy. Then I can add a dangle on it on the spine as well. And simply going to measure in the center. I'm going to measure on the inside so I don't make marks that I have to erase later. About here. Yeah. I'm going to simply make a hole. It's okay if it's not a pretty hole, because this is going to cover it anyway. This is really easy. Just going to get these legs through and open them back up again. I have to see whether I want my ring to be facing this way or that way. Yeah, I definitely want it like this, so keep that in mind for the legs. There. You can put a piece of tape over it to keep it in place. I'm not going to use double-sided tape because this is not going to stick to anything. So I'm just going to use this tape. You can use any tape that you won't see anyway, just to keep it in place. There, and later on I'm going to hang this key off it. Okay, I made a little mistake, but it's okay. This is just something that I needed to do later anyway, but don't do it now yet. You see these holes here? That's for some brads in the cover, and I thought I'm gonna add them now, but I don't have to add them now yet. I have to add them later, but that's okay. These holes are not lost there. I didn't ruin my piece at all. It's just so that you know what's going on, that I was a little bit too fast with this step. But the next thing I'm going to add here is a label holder here over this one. Oh, I'd rather have a real one here with this little piece of paper underneath. So I'm just going to line up where I want it and make sure it's straight. I can make marks for the holes. There, and I'm gonna put this piece of paper that I cut to size under this before I add the brad. There. There. I'm just gonna add a few pieces of double-sided tape over there. I will remove the backing later. And I'm gonna add one more embellishment to this cover before I'm gonna put in the inner cover, and that is a piece of lace on the top and the bottom. So I'm gonna add a piece of lace to the top and the bottom here so that it peeks out just a little bit. I'm gonna measure how long it should be. And then I'm simply going to use a bit of tacky glue. That's not a little bit, that's a lot, but it'll do. That's indeed a lot. This will have to dry for a bit. Let this dry first before you add the inner spine, if you do this. And this will add just a little bit more interest in the top and the bottom. We'll show you like this. This will just peek out a little bit. Like this. Actually move it up a little bit more. There, I'm gonna let this dry. Okay, this is nice and dry, so it's time to put this in booklet and finish our journal. I'm gonna be honest, this is the hardest part here. It's very important that you do first one side and then later the other side. The idea is that the first fold is coming on top of this first fold. It just nestles in there. And then same on this side. That's the whole idea. But you can't do this in a flat way. So it's best to do one side, make sure it's dry, and then keep this one up and do the other side. Normally these two parts here should be equally wide. And I'm just going to add double-sided tape here and glue on here. I'm already going to add tape on both sides here. Right up to the edge again and right up to this fold next to the fold again. Very important. And then for my tape, there's space in the center. If you don't have enough space in the center, you can also do a bit of glue in the center. And again here, right next to this fold, right up to the edge here, so the edges are neatly done. And one in the center. If your tape is too wide to cover the center, first remove the side ones and then put a middle one on top. Sure, these stick. You really want these to stick, trust me. Okay, I'm gonna start with the front one. Check again that this is the front and that it's not upside down or something like that. It's okay. And then I'm going to add glue all over this piece. Just to make it a bit more sturdy, a bit on the side. Not so much that it'll leak out. I'm already a bit afraid that this might leak out a little bit. You can also spread it out a bit more. Like this. So don't have any glue on this small 1/4 inch piece here, just on the big piece. There. And then I'm gonna remove the backings for the front side. And then, this is still easy, you're going to line up this fold, as I said, with this fold here. It should snugly fit in there. There. Make sure top and bottom are lined up as well. Hold it for a while. Give it a chance to dry. And put the book on top. And just to make sure that the weight of this side is not pulling these layers away, I'm going to also put a book here just to keep this upright. And then leave this to dry for a bit. Very important. And then when this is certainly dry, I'm gonna do the other side. And that is why later I'm also going to add brads to have an extra layer of protection that it will stay together. Okay, I gave it a minute or 10 to really dry. Really check with your glue as well how long it will take. It also depends on how much glue you used. I'm gonna remove these books. And now I'm going to add glue here and attach this here. But again, this should be fold on fold. This is the hardest part actually, to really have it here. And that's why I'm also going to put a book here so this stays upright. If you do it like this, it will probably go well. Again, some glue. Gonna spread it out just a teeny tiny bit. Gonna remove these backings. Now, gonna hold this up. I'm gonna line up that outer fold with this outer fold, like this. And because I made these flaps both same size, not sure if you see it, but I don't dare to open it too much. You can line up these two as well, and it will probably be very much okay. Press this, you can't see me doing it, but I'm literally, yeah, I don't want to open it too much. But I'm gonna use one book here to keep this upright here. And now I can use my heaviest book here to have this dry, to make this dry. There, and if you use books like this to keep it upright and to press this down, it really helps. This will help you so much. So I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes as well, a minute or 10 or so will probably do. Okay, so this is attached really well. And to make it extra sturdy, as I said, I'm going to add some brads here. I already have some holes here, but I'm gonna tell you where I put them. Of course, you can put them wherever you want, but I put them 3/8 of an inch from the side. Let me show you here. So 3/8 of an inch from this side here. I made markings on the inside, by the way. And then here on top and the bottom, these two holes are 3/4 of an inch from the bottom, and then there's 2 1/4 inches between these 4 holes. But you can choose where you put your brads yourself. I'm going to add a really small brads here. Oh yeah, and then on the other side the same. Those will keep all those layers together as well. I'm just going to, I did all my measurements earlier, too early. I'm just going to punch through them a bit more. And I'm holding this very carefully because I don't want to shift things that don't need shifting. Just in case it's not super dry yet. There. And then fold these to that side. Same here. And then I have 8 of these really small, sturdy brass, vintage brass colored brads here. I'm just gonna punch them through, open the legs, and add some tape on the back. And with all the layers of chipboard and cardstock, etc., these legs are barely long enough, but that's actually good. So it will be easier to add the inner covers later, like this. Okay, I'm gonna use this to open the legs because for some reason these are so strong and so sturdy that I'm otherwise going to hurt my fingers. There. And I'm also going to add little pieces of tape, double-sided tape. Just, this is an extra layer of protection between the brads, the metal, and the paper that's gonna go on top of it. There. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. These are rather small, so you don't really see them very well. If you like, you can also add some sort of a strip or ribbon underneath here to make them stand out a bit more. That's an option as well. With ribbon, I mean more like a paper strip or so. There, all done. And it looks like this. And before I'm going to add my inner covers, I'm also going to add some ribbons. This is also optional, so I can close my book. So very easy. I'm going to find the center here. 8 1/4, that's 4 1/8. 4 1/8 here as well. These ribbons are about, let's see, 15, 16 inches. This is that type of seam binding that I colored with inks and then crumpled, etc, etc, etc. So I had 2 pieces of that. I'm just going to add some tape here and about 2 inches, and yeah, that should be enough. If you add your tape, make sure to stop 1/8 of an inch or a bit more from the edge, because that will not be covered, and otherwise that piece will be sticky. You can use glue as well perfectly. So I'm gonna start about here. Yep. And then 1 inch or 2. Same on the other side. Then remove the backing. And add your ribbon. Same on the other side. And then I can add my inner covers. As you remember, I printed these smaller, and I also already added double-sided tape on the edges, so the edges will be down good. I already inked the edges, etc. So I'm going to start the front cover. I'm gonna remove all these little pieces, these little backings. This. Going to remove these as well. Add some glue. And I'm actually going to turn it like this. Make sure it's not upside down. I'm gonna press this down. I'm gonna keep about 1/8 of an inch all around here again. There. Of course, you can use plainer papers than this. You can use like a black cardstock on the inside, or craft paper, or another paper from the kit. I just use very busy paper, but I like it so much. And then the same on the other side. There. Look at this. Hello. How pretty. We're almost done. So I want to add this key to this part here. You lay this open first in the center, but I need another ring because otherwise it will be like weird. I have all these rings here. I'm gonna add another jump ring. So I'm gonna add a jump ring through this charm key and also through this loop here. You can add a bit of chain if you like. I'm not gonna do that. There. This is cool. I like it. I'm sorry if there was any noise when I was explaining how to attach this, but some jet fighters decided to fly over the whole time. I'm not living near to an airport at all, but yeah, they have to fly somewhere, I guess. So I hope this was clear how to attach this. And now, of course, we have all this space in the front, you see? And that space is there to add a pocket to hold the freebie from a few weeks ago. Let me show you how to make that pocket. A few weeks ago, I made a video to make this little haunted secrets booklet, and I gave away all the printables that you need. So if you don't have that yet, grab it and make it, because I'm going to make a pouch for this. Not a pouch, more like a boxy envelope for this, a very sturdy one to put this inside. And you can keep it separate, or you can put it in the journal, or you can put it outside of the journal. You can do whatever. And you see, the designs of this freebie fit the whole kit perfectly. So let me put this aside for a bit and show you how to make that pocket to put this in. This is going to be the pocket, this is going to be the flap, and let's start very easy to make a score mark on this piece. That's very simple, just put it so that the 4.5 inch is on the top and score at 1/2 inch. There. Now for the large piece, put it first horizontally and score at 3 3/4 and 4 1/4. So 3 3/4 and 4 1/4. Like this. Then turn it around so that the 6 inch part is on top and score at 1 inch from each side. You can turn it around as well. And then the last 2 score lines, score at 1/2 inch from here right up till this first line here. Same on the other side. So no further. That's it for the scoring. Now let me show you how to cut some pieces out of this piece. So I'm gonna cut out these 2 sides. So from here to here, I'm gonna completely cut it out. Same on the other side. And now that these 2 pieces are removed, the only thing I'm gonna cut is from here, this little line, up to here. So just this little piece here. Let me show you. There. And there. That's it. Now, these can fold in. These can fold in as well. And these can fold in as well. And this can fold also. Before I'm going to assemble this, I'm first going to make some closure circles. You've seen me make some before, but I'm quickly going to show you. So I have this 1 inch circle punch. It doesn't matter the size, you can make them a bit smaller or larger, but I'm going to cut from this sturdy cardstock 4 circles. Yeah, this is about the max weight of paper that this punch can do. Sorry about the noise. There. And I'm gonna glue these on top of each other 2 by 2. This way they're a little bit more sturdy. You can add an extra layer with some smaller circles if you like. I'm just going to ink the edges. You can Mod Podge these if you want to make them even stronger. There are no limits. I'm just going to add first some ink to the edges, rather dark. And then I'm actually going to give them a bit more color again, like I did with the spine, so it matches better. There. This way they're a little bit darker, they will stand out a bit better. And now I'm going to punch a hole in the center. Just gonna eyeball it. Hope I can do a great job with it. There. Gonna put these aside for a bit, and now I'm going to make some panels to put on these. Some panels will need to be put on before attaching and some after attaching. Oh yeah, before I'm going to attach anything here, I'm going to round these corners, these two. That's optional. And I'm gonna cut all the panels first. So I need 4 panels to embellish this pocket. 1 on each side of the flap, 1 that's gonna go on the front, and 1 that's gonna go on the back here. Now on the flap I need 2 pieces that are the same size, and those are each 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. Here. The one on the front here is also 3 3/4 wide, but just 3.5 high. And the one on the inside should also be 3 3/4 wide. And yeah, mine is, it was a leftover piece, is also 3 3/4 high. That's enough, but you can make it longer as well. Because I added these rounded corners, I'm also going to add rounded corners here. And this goes this way, so I have to put them on the bottom. And when I open the flap, I should do the tops here. There. Before I'm going to attach them, I'm actually all going to give them a inked edge. Just to make them stand out a bit more. And also this way the side of the cardstock will not be white anymore, because the inside of the paper is white. You will always see that unless you hide it with some ink. Okay, I'm gonna start with the front of the flap, and because I want the edges down really good, I'm going to use some tape. You can definitely use glue as well, but you have to see that the glue goes right up to the edge, so it's no pieces will come loose, you know. Yeah, these rounded corners are a little bit tricky to add tape, so I'm gonna add a bunch of glue on these corners just to make sure. Always make sure your tape has a good bond before removing the backing. And yes, I am definitely gonna add some extra here. Also glue in the center. There, and then put this in the center. There will be about 3 millimeter, 1/8 of an inch all around. And then you're good. There you go. So this one's in here. This one is going to be on the front here. It's going to go like this, so it should be facing this way. Again, tape and glue. Again, in the center. This. Great. And then the last one I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this whole thing around, and I'm gonna put this one right here on the top. There. So right here, also keeping 1/8 of an inch all around. Now the next thing I'm gonna do first is ink all the edges of this of the cardstock here. The sides, again, optional, gives it a little bit more depth. Also the inside. And for the big part, where do I want it? On the folds here, the top, again, the folds here, the bottom. Yeah, I'm gonna do the back fold as well. On this one, I'm gonna do the inside because you will only see the inside here. And now I'm going to attach these closure circles again before assembling it. It's especially important for this one. So on this front one, I'm going to make a mark about 2 inches from the bottom. So from this folding line. I think I'm almost in the center, but I'm gonna check because the center is also, oh, I'm a bit off. 2 inches, so here and here in the flap I'm also going to make a mark also in the center and about 7/8 from the bottom edge, and that's actually almost perfect. There, gonna punch my holes. Of course you can change these measurements if you want your closure somewhere else or if you want another closure, that's totally possible. And here, there, this one is the most important one. And for those who have been following me, if you want to add these type of closures, cut yourself a piece of sturdy chipboard with a gap. I have a brad here, I chose a brown one. I'm just gonna put the legs through the circle, the center hole, there, completely through. And I'm gonna slide these legs through the slot here and then through the hole in the pocket, this. And then I could just push it all down, open the legs. And I'm also going to put a little bit of tape on top. You won't see it. It's just to protect anything that you slide in there that just doesn't get caught into these legs here. And then I can just slide this off and you have a nice gap in between for your cord or your twine. Legs through the holes in the circle, there, through the gap, through the hole in the flap, lay down, open the legs. I'm going to put something down here, there, and then just slide this off and you have a nice gap again. And now that this is attached, I can add my last panel. Okay, so this can come off already. This can come off, and then add a little bit more glue, and I can stick this on. Again, centered as you can. There. Gonna turn it upside down to flatten. There. So all the pieces that need panels have panels, the closures are attached, so it's time to close this pocket. I'm gonna turn it around and I'm going to put tape first of all here because I want to close it on the back because I'm going to glue it like this in my journal. And that means that you won't see this anyway and it will be closed better. If you want to make this pocket separately and not glue it in somewhere, I would put your glue on the outside and glue it like this. And this way you won't have these flaps on the back. But it's a bit sturdier if you have them on the back, and it's totally okay if you don't see that. So fold it first however you like and then decide where to put your tape. Now I'm confused. Yeah, I want them on the inside here. There. It's best to put the tape close to the fold, and then these are going to go in here. So I'm gonna put tape here. There. These pieces of tape should be on this side, whatever you're gonna do. So I'm gonna start with one side, remove this backing, and I'm going to glue this little piece here on the inside of this long piece. There. And I'm gonna do the same. Yeah, I'm gonna do the other side first. You can use glue here, but tape is a little bit stronger here. You should use strong glue here, for sure. This, okay. And now I'm gonna glue these on the back. Oh yeah, if you're using glue, you have to hold it for quite a while before letting go. That's why I'm using tape in this instance. But make sure you have tape that actually sticks, because there's also tape that doesn't stick so well. And now make sure that this is nicely in that fold. So this edge is nicely in that fold. And I'm going to use my bone folder to reach in there so I can push. I'm going to do exactly the same here. A little bit tricky. Just make sure everything's lined up neatly. And don't let go, and check and check and check again until the whole pouch is made. Here again, make sure it's nicely in the fold. There. This is ready, and now the only thing I have to do is attach this flap. There, and I'm going to attach glue on the inside, so the side without the closure. Close to the fold, not over the fold, but next to the fold. Always put your tape next to the fold. And then I'm going to take this and place this also, this edge, next to the fold. Line up everything like this, et voila, we have a little pouch. Oh, this doesn't stick well enough yet. Yeah, maybe it's better. I'm not sure. This is quite heavy, strong tape, but I'm not sure if this was a wise idea. Maybe this is a better idea. I'm not sure. But since I am going to glue this inside the journal as well, I don't think it matters. Okay, and then this beautiful freebie fits in there perfectly. Look at that. And for the closure, I'm going to use some wax thread here. Let's see. So just gonna leave this on the packet. Gonna make my knot on that side. At least 2 knots. 2, yeah. Well, 3 just for safekeeping. 3 knots. I'm gonna cut off the ends. If the end is showing, you can just tuck it in, and then I like to go 1, 2, 3 and cut it off. You can also wind just straight 1, 2, 3 like this. That's actually prettier, I think. Put this in here as well. 2, 3. This alone is already super beautiful. So if you have the freebie and if you have some other papers, you can make this beautiful pouch as well. But then, as I said, I would put these 2 tabs on the inside instead of on the outside. So, and now the last thing that needs to be done is to put this in here. Now, if you like, you can also add more signatures here or add something folio-y here in the front. And have a neutral cover and glue this on the front. You can definitely do that as well. But because I liked it to be a little bit secret there, I wanted to put it in the book. I'm simply going to attach tape again on the whole back. I'm actually going to get this book out first, and then some tape close to the edges. Completely from the top of this flap here. Right next to this fold here from the flap. I'm also going to do one here in the center. Oops, that's okay. Doesn't matter. Make sure it sticks. I'm holding it so I'm not crushing the cardstock. Gonna remove this tape. And I'm gonna use some tacky glue as well, so it will stick down properly. There. Okay. And now I'm gonna put it in the center, like this. There. Push this down. There. And now you see the book is completely filled. And for me, I have a last embellishment here, and that is some book corners, and I'm going to attach them right now. Yeah. You can add a bit of glue if needed, but I think if I pinch them enough, they'll stay in place. And it's ready. Let me close it. Oh my, this makes me so happy to see. Look how pretty it is. Look how pretty it became. This is made from scratch, people. And there are cracker boxes inside this thing. Don't forget about that. Look how beautiful it is. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you really liked the tutorial and the papers and how pretty it looks, and you learned something and you're like super inspired now to start making something of your own. If you do, please give this tutorial a thumbs up. And if you feel like, hey, I really like this channel, it vibes with me, you can always subscribe as well. And if you would like to make this craft project also with the printables of our haunted house kit, please check out the link below. There's more information there. And now I wish you a truly beautiful day. Bye-bye. Yeah, I thought about wearing something more Halloween-y for this video, but let's think this is my Pugsley Adams outfit.